is splitting, and you know, muscle aches everywhere. And so
Wow.
now I'm just a
You,
bit wobbly. I have a bit of a cold, a bit of a cough, and I'm a bit shaky, but it's okay because I'm not allowed out anyway.
have you
My,
had fever?
yeah, very high.
Wow. Oy,
So
oy, oy.
yeah, as you say, it's not, you know, it's so different for so many people. how,
Really?
how the virus kind of manifests. It's absolutely not the same. So the person I got it from is 90 years old. He has no symptoms at all. So, but we didn't know when I went to visit him, we didn't know that he's had contact with somebody who is COVID positive. So, anyway, I survived, looks like it. And I don't think I will have a relapse because, you know, it's since Sunday, since after the pujas you did, it all went better. I mean, you know, it was quite embarrassing. There were pujas being held all over the planet almost. And yesterday, I got another email from somebody telling me that he lit a candle in Hawaii and that he did a Medicine Buddha puja. So it's like where Leora Kenneth is with the palm tree behind her there. So so yeah, and it's you know, I was really deeply touched, and I would really like to thank you for all the pujas you did, and for the prayers and the good wishes and the concern and all this. So it's really good for the world, you know, if we get together and we sit down and for a while we think about what is important in life, and that we do practices like mantras, other things, because whether they work or not, I have no idea, but it looks as if they do work, as I could see, like, because it started to get better on Sunday. And so I think it's quite important for, especially for the world, because the world is really in not such a good state, isn't it? There is a lot of hatred and a lot of, you know, groups that are very divisive and like this. So then being able to study a text like this, which goes totally against ordinary worldly views, is really, I find it really powerful and really significant. And you know, so we start something new. You know, we're not going with our ordinary worldly samsaric habits of liking those and disliking the others, and trying to bring harmony and peace also to the people we dislike. I read a saying the other day which I thought, like, wow, maybe I find it again and maybe I'll show you next week, which was something like, you know, even if I dislike you, I can still love you. So that was quite amazing, you know, just to read that, because we don't give ourselves the possibility to do that, because we never even try, because it seems so totally impossible. Yeah, but we can have dislike for somebody. We can not be happy with what they're doing. We can, you know, not at all agree with their views, but we can still be happy when we see that they are well, and well in a way, you know, not harming others. This is always what comes with it. When we see that when people have what they want or they have happiness, but by having happiness, it's not harming anybody else. If we dislike the person, it's very difficult for us to be happy for them, isn't it? If it would be our friends, then of course we would be very happy. But if it's somebody that we dislike, but just to hear it, you know, just to hear it, to slowly change our habits that we have of putting people in categories of friend, enemy, or antagonist and stranger, and to give it the possibility, yeah, but if the person is well, if they have what they want and it's not harmful, then, you know, why, stupid mind, are you not happy? Because when they are happy, they harm much less. You know, when people are happy and open-hearted and all this, is like, for them also, they are more considerate about others. It's when people are unhappy that they get very self-concerned and the mind gets very narrow. What do you think? Even if I dislike you, I can still love you. What do you think when you hear something like this?
Very high goal, very difficult to achieve. Much easier to develop loving kindness first, feel closeness to everybody, including the enemy, and then wishing well from the heart. But
Yeah.
at this stage, I know it's best to wish for his happiness, then he wouldn't harm us.
Mhm.
Very difficult.
Yeah. But this is, difficult it is. That's true. Nobody says it's easy. That's only
But if I cannot,
yeah.
if I don't manage to love somebody I dislike, at least I can aspire Karuna, compassion.
Yeah, right.
This is aspiration. It's easier than love
You
for
think
me.
so?
For me, yeah.
Wow,
Because it's aspiration. It's not a feeling. Love
no.
is like,
Oh, Nahum, I'm very sorry. I have to disagree with you.
it's
I'm not
fine.
sure if I'm not sure if I'm well enough to go into an argument, but we can try. I'm giving you the what the Buddhist definition of karuna is, the wish to relieve somebody from their suffering. So that's, for me, stronger than love. That needs much more. Love, I don't have to do anything. I'm just happy when the other person is happy. That's it. Karuna, compassion it is a feeling. It is something, it's an energy in us that makes us act when we see that somebody suffers, if there is compassion. Or let's say like this, that makes us act, or that makes us accept what is going on when we see that there's nothing we can do, but we accept, and we can still stay with that person. Usually when we want to help and to relieve somebody from their suffering, and we cannot, it's very difficult for us to stay with these people, to just accept that they suffer and to feel helpless. And then we, sometimes we have, this is unbalanced compassion or empathy. It's like when we have agreed to stay with a friend who is depressive, okay? So the friend the whole night doesn't sleep, for example, needs your attention. You are kind of staying up the whole night. You're listening to her. You're trying to tell her how to think so that the depression goes, with a lot of hope that it will work. Of course, it doesn't work, because it doesn't work for us either. But then in the morning, of course, you have to go home again. In the morning, you have to go home again. And then there's this feeling of relief of leaving the house. That is unbalanced kind of compassion. It's a bit too remote.
Yeah,
Then,
but I have to balance myself.
yeah, of course.
Oh,
But this is what we have sometimes, isn't it? This is what we have, is when we can't help and we are attached to somebody and we feel a duty or something like that. We can't help, we feel guilty, and then we'd rather not be in contact with the person. Do you see what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, but I feel like I'm not that hard with myself. I help as much as I can when I feel like I need a breath, so I go and breathe.
Okay.
Like, I have to balance myself. How can I help the world if I'm stressed?
Yeah. I'm not saying that you don't have to balance yourself. I'm talking about the sensation when you leave the house. I'm glad I'm out of here. This is what creates distance. That you want to take care of yourself so you can go back the next night. That's something different. So we're not talking about exactly the same thing. I'm talking about really watching my own heart when I leave the house in the morning. And then I can adjust. You see, this is it. Because what you are saying, Nahum, is exactly right. You need to go home because you need to sleep. Otherwise, you start to get angry at this person. So you need to take care of yourself. But so the instinctive feeling is not so much, woof, I'm glad to be out of here so I can take care of myself. It stops there. Poof, I'm glad I'm out of here. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it's about adjusting that feeling a little bit, okay? By saying, okay, yeah, it is difficult, and also be totally realistic.
At my level, I'm happy. At my level, not 30 years of Buddhism, I'm happy I went there at all.
Yeah, right. That's good, because this is so important to be happy about what we can do, even if it's very, very little, because we never know, you know. Because I'm talking about myself, actually. This is a situation that I'm in from time to time.
It sounds a bit too much self-criticism.
It's no good. It's no good at all.
No.
But also too much self-confidence is also no good. So you talked about you talked about balance. It's very important that first we build up a good basis about ourselves. We are trying. This is good enough. Okay? That we start to get in contact with this good feeling about ourselves, a friendly feeling towards ourselves. And then on top of that, then we can start building also to look after others. Yeah. But this whole thing about feeling good about ourselves so that I can help others, that step needs to be there, because otherwise it goes into self-pity, and then we're too much self-concerned there, because then we never find
Bodhicitta is our morning meditation is bodhicitta, no?
Which is, for you, what does it mean?
Try, just very simple, Nahum, just try to be kind with the world. You are part of the world as well.
Yeah, okay.
Be kind with yourself so you can be kind with the world.
Yeah.
But my motivation is to be kind.
Okay. So this is
simple.
You know, this is loving kindness. This is fine. This is fantastic. But I wouldn't call it bodhicitta, okay? Bodhicitta is really a mind who understands emptiness and conventional level and sees
what I can do from bodhicitta. It's I'm a starter.
This is why I'm telling you, so that you can. I think it's quite important to use precise definitions. I think, yeah, when we talk about bodhicitta, so that we really know what it is, because then it turns into bodhicitta. Otherwise, when you use the word bodhicitta just for loving kindness, it stops there, and that's a shame. It stops too quickly, yeah. So bodhicitta is the mind who wants you yourself to be free from being
I want everybody to stop suffering and enjoy and slowly to be enlightened. Yes.
Okay.
And to know the real happiness, genuine happiness. Yeah.
Yeah. The real happiness of not being under the control of wrong views and negative emotions anymore, and you take the responsibility to lead them there. That is bodhicitta. So it has these two goals. Yeah. My own awakening in order to be able to lead all others there. And then when that's very clear in your mind, you see that because all these thoughts are first just thoughts, but then they become an energy that puts us into a certain direction. Yeah. And also with bodhicitta, because you understand the nature of samsara. So this is not for you just personally. Yeah. I'm not saying that you don't understand the nature of samsara.
I'm fine with it.
When you have bodhicitta, it's like you have really understood, as long as we are under the influence of thinking that whatever is happening out there is separate from my mind, that it has nothing to do with me, that I am just a victim and everybody else is at fault who doesn't do what I want them to do, and this is why I'm not happy. You understand, as long as I have this view, as long as others have this view, we can wish for happiness as long as we want. It will never really happen. Yeah. And then it becomes something very, very strong that it's like putting fuel in our wonderful car that we have, which is the precious human rebirth. It's like putting, petrol in it. And then we can go very far with this until the goal of enlightenment. Yeah. So thank you for that, Nahum. That was very nice what you said. Thank you.
When you had this fever for these 3-4 days,
yeah.
when you had this high temperature,
yeah,
it's fascinating. I know it's not what we are learning today, but it's really interesting. Was the mind all right? And were you afraid?
No, I was happy that I was here safe, in a nice apartment. People immediately told me, do you need anything? Shall I bring something from the from the pharmacy, you know, somebody offered to come and look after me. I said, no, stay home. You know, I want to be quiet. And it's like, I don't want anybody to get infected. And I was doing Tonglen actually also, because this is when we train this, when you are well, then, you know, you think about all the other people in the hospitals, you know, intubated and this and that. I could still breathe. I never had like that much problems with the lung. I just had a cough. So I was really grateful that it wasn't so bad. Yeah, but then also I slept a lot. I'm a good sleeper. You know, this sickness goes very well with my laziness, because now also whenever I feel tired, I go to bed and I sleep at least 2-3 times a day. So it's great. And I don't, you know, so, and people tell me I have to do this. Yeah, I know about, thank you, Leora, I know about Tom and Tommy. Tommy wrote to me. So like this. So I think, you know, if we practice now with more easier situations, then when the situation comes, then, you know, then it's really helpful. And we have the tools to work with it in a way so it's not getting too bad. Now, but I don't know, you know, I can't say. If I would have had breathing problems, I can't promise that I wouldn't have been afraid. You know, I really thought, okay, what do you want to do? Will you, when you can still talk, will you tell them that you don't want to go on an intubator and that you are going to die, and and that somebody else can have your bed in hospital? I'm not sure. At that moment, it seemed yes. I don't know if it is like this when the situation comes. Because you see, sometimes I think I'm very far advanced, but then when the situation comes, I see that, maybe not there yet. Yeah. And the guy who called me from the government, because we are being, you know, I have a number and a code, and I'm being kind of registered as a Corona positive person. They check on you whether you are home or not and all this. And he said, if you have breathing problems, please don't think twice, immediately call the ambulance. So of course, you know, to him, I said, yes, yes, yes. I didn't say, oh, I want to give my bed to somebody else. He wouldn't have understood. So, so like that. But it would have been up to me whether I would have called the ambulance or not, because I'm alone here, which is good, because then I'm pretty sure that I haven't infected anybody. This for me was the most important thing, really. Yeah. And then also with impermanence and the high fever and the headache, yeah, it's very unpleasant. And it hurts like hell, but it's like, and you can't think properly. But still, somehow I knew this is impermanent, you know, this will pass. Either I die, then it's all the suffering of this body finished, or it will get better. So, and it really got better after the pujas. Amazing. I really felt like all the love and all the concern and like, it's so amazing. I mean, I was so touched, and I was moved to tears quite often. All the messages I got and all this, I was very, very touched. So thank you so much. I mean, this is truly amazing. Okay, my dear, so maybe we should do something beneficial here. How about we do like what you say, you know, kindness towards others. We want people to be kind to us. We want people to, you know, I could feel the healing power of concern and being taken seriously, that this is a serious sickness and there could be danger of, you know, death or whatever. I could feel that healing power, even though the pujas happened quite far away. Yeah. So this is also what we want to receive. So then we're going to try to make a reflection how it will be easy to receive it. Okay? Because whether people are concerned about us, this we have no control. Maybe yes, maybe no, maybe they're happy that we're sick, no idea. But the concern for them we can have. And then we are in touch with our own healing energy. Or at least, when I talk about healing energy, what I mean really is it doesn't make it worse. You know, with, as you say, fear and this and that and self-concern and loneliness and depression. When we have concern for others, we are much more spacious and our own problem becomes much, much smaller. Yeah. So we do a short reflection on this and some mindfulness meditation, which is good anyway, because if we want to transform our mind, if we want to realize emptiness, whether we want or not, this is something we have to go through, is to be able to quieten the mind and to be able to hold it on an object. And then with this quiet mind, we start to look at our emotions, because then already, you know, if you look at your strong emotions, without being able to make the step out and look at them, you become the strong emotion, and then you're in the middle of the storm. Yeah, so this is why it's so important, you know, to really learn, to really train every day, even if it's just for a few minutes, to watch to be present and with a neutral mind to see what's going on without interfering. And that's very difficult because we have been, how to say, chipped almost. We have been cloned or chipped or whatever. I mean, it's so strong that when we are not well, that there's something wrong with us, you know, that when we are afraid or when we are angry, or so, we're so used to this whole thing, something is wrong with me. Now, of course, our nature is not that. Our nature is not fear, depression, anger, arrogance, and all this. That's true, but it's part of us at the moment. So, you know, this is where we are at, and this is what we have to work at. But when we think in a kind of more subtle way, oh, this shouldn't be because I don't want this. I don't want to have this. Then we suppress it. And then it can't heal. But in order to work with it, you need to be able to make the step out of it so that you can watch it. Okay? And that's not easy. Again, you know, if you want, I can, after every sentence I say, I can add, this is difficult, until you finally believe it. You know, I always have the hope that you believe that this is difficult. So when you know that this is difficult, then also you honor yourself for trying. You know, when we know that it's difficult and we still do it, we don't run away from it. I mean, this is fantastic. So then you can be proud about yourself. Then you can be saying, hey, well done. I don't succeed, but it doesn't matter. I'm trying. I'm facing the challenge of kind of examining my negative emotions. I'm not living them out. I'm not suppressing them. I'm studying them. This is difficult. So well done. Okay, so we try, okay? So try to sit with the straight back. Relaxed, but awake, if possible. If, of course, you have body problems and you need to lie down, that's fine. The problem is when you lie down, when you do these kind of things, you fall asleep very, very quickly. And then, you know, the mind doesn't, the straight back really helps the mind to become clear. So there also, it's worthwhile to make an effort, unless you have a body that is really not well and you need to lie down. Okay, so the first thing we always do is to connect with the body. And with the body also in an act of gratitude. For me at the moment, it was able to kind of fight the virus. How wonderful. Thank you so much. Maybe fight is not the right word, but to not to be so impressed with the virus. Also not to be afraid. Body didn't show any signs of fear. We feel grateful, you know, that we can be here. And we really have to learn to look at the things that are good. Because the tendency of always seeing the negative, I mean, it really depletes our immune system. And these are just habits that we can change. It's okay. But they're deep-seated. So it's not easy. It's difficult. Needs a lot of time and a lot of patience and a lot of practice. So then you find your breath, and especially again in times of COVID, appreciate that you can breathe freely. How wonderful that is. Just to be able to connect with that fact. I can breathe freely. Isn't that wonderful? And see what it does to you, this thought. See what kind of sensations in the body come up. When you very consciously breathe, each in-breath, each out-breath, totally aware. Ah, I can breathe. Isn't that wonderful? You can use different words. For example, breathing in, it keeps me alive. Breathing out, it keeps me alive. And we love our life, isn't it? And then we just do that for a few minutes. Totally relaxed, but totally awake and happy, grateful, appreciating. The lungs are working, the nose is working, the air is breathable around you. It's not too polluted. And again, don't forget, please, every time you do this, bring a very friendly feeling towards yourself into the meditation. A softness, a tenderness, an appreciation for what you're doing, for how you are, for how you're trying. It's so important. So then try to imagine in the space in front of you a person that you can feel this person really appreciates you. The person sees you. The person is aware of you, like when you talk, the person is listening to you. And the person is taking you seriously with all your ups and downs and all your problems and all your joys. I'm pretty sure you have somebody like this in your life. So imagine the person in front of you and then check your heart. What's happening there? The middle of your chest. Again, it's not in the head. Go from your head to your heart. When you feel seen, appreciated, taken seriously, how do you feel? Now, this might be a little bit more difficult. So, like, how do you feel towards yourself? And how do you feel towards the other person? So when we see that the person is genuinely concerned about our well-being, about our happiness, and our being free from suffering, the wish for this other person to be happy and to be free from suffering comes very naturally, very spontaneously, isn't it? So again, this is a sensation in your heart. May you be well, may you be happy. I can see you. I understand what you're going through. Even if we ourselves think it's not a big thing, but we can see it's a big thing for that other person. What we receive from this person, in a very natural way, we want to give back. So just allow yourself to be touched by these sensations of open heart, softness, tenderness, connection. And as you can see, even the person is not personally present. It's only our ego who thinks they always have to be in front of our nose. No. We can think about them and we can feel the connection. And now in your head, what would you like to say to that person? Because we do communicate. And sometimes we forget to tell people how much we appreciate them, how much we feel touched by their concern. How does it make you feel saying these words to that person? The wish for this person to be free from suffering is very naturally there. And now there's something we have to learn, especially in those times when we can't see each other so often. Try to direct the same compassion towards yourself. Try to say the same words to yourself. I care about my difficulties. I'm not pushing them away. I acknowledge them. May I be able to hold myself in compassion, the wish to be free from suffering. Don't be afraid, this is not selfish. Sometimes we don't even dare to think like this because we think we are selfish. May I be held in compassion by myself instead of with aversion and pushing and judging. May my heart be at peace. In case you find some resistance, which if it's the first time you do this, don't run away from it. Don't judge it. Just look at it. And then we start to see that we are lacking love. Not love from others, but love from ourselves. I care about my difficulties. I take them seriously. May I be held in compassion. May my heart be at ease. And just hold very gently whatever is arising with your awareness. Notice it, don't judge it. It's neither good nor bad. This is another thing we have to let go. We're just looking. We're just noticing. So gently hold whatever is arising. And like this, we get in the habit of planting seeds of compassion, also for ourselves, not always for others. I care about my difficulties. I take myself seriously. May I be held in compassion. May my heart be at peace. And you're very welcome to use other words. Words that touch you. Words that have meaning.
Anila,
Yes, Tommy?
can I please just express my gratitude and just say a few words because there are new people here, and thank you for coming.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So please, thank you for coming to teach us. I think we're so happy to see you with us again. And welcome to everybody that hasn't been here till now. There are some new people. So everybody who's new here, you can find the text for these teachings in the website of the DFI. And I will send the link to the Dana. It's a great opportunity to practice generosity and open heart towards our beloved teachers. And everybody here in DFI are doing everything voluntarily. So thank you for coming. And that's all. And thank you, Anila. It's really, really great to see you healthy and well.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. Hey, come on. So it's nice. Sorry, Tommy. I thought you had already done it when I joined.
No, I was busy doing, recordings, and then you came in. So
I see. Okay. So last time we met was 2 weeks ago, and then you had a discussion group with Tom. Yeah. Okay. So as I said, this is also very important that you discuss amongst yourselves, so that so you can exchange ideas how to apply this. Oh, and Nachum, you know what I wanted to say? Are you still there? Yeah, you're still here. What I wanted to say, when I said this feeling when we get out of the house in the morning of somebody that we've been trying to help for the whole night and it didn't work, the feeling of relief. What I think what you thought that I was saying, this is bad. It's not bad. It's just is. You see, I think this is what we have to, especially when we look at the text like this, where it's so difficult to practice. It's so important that we just notice how we feel. That's it. It's neither good nor bad, because when we go, it's bad, then you know how it is when somebody criticizes us. We had this discussion yesterday in the Swiss group. Like when, somebody makes a mistake, and then you just tell them, okay, it's all right, everybody makes mistakes. But then they start to get defensive, about making the mistake. I mean, you're totally, you're understanding and you're not angry and this and that, but then they start to defend themselves. And then she said, and that's when I lose it. When they try to explain why they made it and this and that, and then give somebody else blame somebody else. So again, because when we go, oh, this is bad, there seems to be also some mechanism in ourselves that gets defensive and then tries to find good reasons why to feel like this. And then again, we're blocked. So this is, this, I'm sure we have like many psychologists here. So I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. This is what we're doing. Yeah. Instead of just observing like a therapist, we immediately go, oh, this is bad. I shouldn't feel like this. Why am I feeling like this? And then we go, as Nachum says, I have to look after myself and this and that. It's all true that you have to look after yourself, but it becomes defensive and aggressive almost. Yeah. So it's not, so how to say, yeah. So that's just what I wanted to add. Yeah. It's not that these, whatever arises, hold it gently and look at it. Don't judge yourself. Yeah. Because good and bad, we don't know. It might be good in the long run and bad in the short run, or good in the short run and bad in the long. We don't know. Good and bad. Good and bad is it's never by itself good or bad. There's nothing that is just good. There's nothing that is just bad. There's not one person who is just bad, although our mind is saying that, yeah, with others. And there's also not one person who is just good, although our mind is saying that, usually with ourselves, isn't it? Sometimes. But then because we know it's not true, then again, we kind of go. So, okay, so last time it was about attachment, that if attachment doesn't get what it wants, it gets angry. Yeah, do you remember that we were looking at this? So that when you look at your anger, that you have to ask yourself, okay, what kind of needs that I have, for which I have many, did not get fulfilled? And are those needs really, I mean, can I expect the world to fulfill these needs. Is that not a bit too much expectation? I think that was more or less the topic, wasn't it? Did you find something in terms of that goes in that direction? It's a long time ago, yeah, 2 weeks. Okay, but anyway, this is something we can do again and again and again and again. When we see that I'm getting angry, especially the way somebody talks to me, somebody says something, whatever, and I feel I'm getting upset or angry, I check, okay, what kind of needs did not get fulfilled? Okay, is that reasonable that this person has to fulfill my needs? No, not really. Why should they have to fulfill my needs? We're so convinced that other people should fulfill our needs. I mean, give me a good reason. You are just one person in this whole universe. How many people's needs do you fulfill? Only when you like them. If you don't like them, then you don't fulfill other people's needs. So what are our needs, by the way? Maybe this is a question you can answer. I have to be careful with my voice, so please help me and fill some of the time. What needs do we have? Oh, Michal, you have to open your mic. It's still not open. Yeah, now.
Oh. I would like to share something about the last meditation that we've just done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think in the general, it's very hard for me to hear a good words or good phrases saying to me by others. And more of that, it's impossible for me to tell such things to myself. And in this meditation, I was very, very surprised that it worked very well for me, and I drawn into it. I think relatively to myself, very deep. And I think that it was the role reverse who helped me quite well. So to put somebody in front of me who is very dear to me, and I use him to tell me or to tell about me or to talk to me like that, I could really make a role reverse with her. It was a friend, it was a woman. I could really easily make a role reverse with her and telling to myself those things. And it was so exciting. So no, really, the meditation was even a little bit too short for me.
Okay, well, you can...
I really wanted to lie on it more time.
Yeah, we need to plant these seeds of compassion for ourselves. And this is why when you put somebody in front of you, that you feel respected by this person. This person is fulfilling my needs, because my needs are exactly that. I need to be seen. I need to be understood. I need to be taken seriously. Well, that's what we think, this is needs that we have. Then when you become very realized, you don't have these needs anymore, but at the moment we have them. So then when you feel these needs fulfilled, we open up because we feel safe. Yeah. But we can't go around in the world and expect everybody to fulfill our needs. But what we can do is to fulfill the needs of respect, appreciation, and all this. This we can do for others. And it doesn't mean we have to have the same opinion or saying, this is right when we think it's totally wrong. We don't have to tell them it's wrong, but we can go into our basic human needs of respect and appreciation. Because even, sorry for the word now, even the biggest asshole, you know, if you are about to fall off a cliff and he's reaching out, you will take that hand. Wouldn't you? Yeah, because then the ego is not involved, because then it's about, I don't want to die. And I don't care whose hand it is. You not even go think like that. You just grab it. Yeah. But then, you know, when it's not danger like this, we are very choosy. So when you put the person in front of you that you feel respected, then you can start to open up. And then, as you say, you know, then you can repeat these meditations. I'm doing these meditations with you so that you learn the technique, and then whenever it's needed, you know, you use it yourself. So like that. Nice.
I think I do have maybe a little bit different issue with myself. So because I think that's because for many years I work with people, with couples, with groups. I have a very big clinic. I'm lecturing, you know, in front of many people in the university. So I developed in myself a barrier not to accept, you know, like I'm very worried or afraid, maybe even it's a dread, I can say, to get used to good things told to me, you know, say to me. So I developed a real you know, a break or a wall against it. And in this meditation, I gave myself the permission really to get it. For that, it was very, very exciting. I am understood?
Yeah. Yes, I think you are. Yeah, this is another thing. You know, sometimes we feel put under pressure when people like us, because then we think that, you know, we have to get too involved or things like that. Or, you know, also this outpour of concern and love that I received from so many people. Then, you know, my first thought was like, oh my gosh, how can I repay that kindness? Yeah.
Right.
So this is a bit like this. So then sometimes, as you say, we try to protect it. Say, oh, leave me alone. It's like too much responsibility when I have to fulfill the needs of so many people.
Exactly.
Yeah, but this is, you know, then it's about vulnerability. Of course, if you let people in, they can also, then you become vulnerable. But that's fine, because otherwise, if you block, you miss out on so many joys. Yeah. And then especially when you study the Dharma and people hurt you, or people are saying things that then very quickly we see, they're saying these things because they themselves are in a bad state. They wouldn't say these things if they would be happy. And we're not taking it so personally. So then, with the study of the Dharma, it really becomes much, much easier to deal then with, not to take these words too seriously.
Right. It's a process.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And what we're doing, this is why I said, we're just planting seeds of compassion.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
need a lot of time to ripen, and we need a lot of trust to allow them to ripen also, to open up our hearts. Because when your heart is open, you can get hurt. That is true. But you only get hurt when there is attachment and when there's all these expectations. And we're not using them when we get hurt, we're not using the Dharma knowledge about by being able to really look in what kind of mental state is this other person who just hurt me. And we can see they're in a terrible state. What am I expecting from them when they're in such a bad state? I mean, if you look at people who run into the Capitol in the United States and all that, you look at their states of mind. I mean, what do you expect from them? There's no point of getting angry at them anyway. Like you're in Israel and I'm in Switzerland. What am I trying to get angry at those people? I mean, but you can see. So that should, what Shantideva says, it should actually arouse compassion instead of anger. Yeah, but it doesn't mean you agree with what they're doing. Yeah, and then you say, oh wow, this behavior is absolutely not helpful. I will never behave like this. Okay, shall we go to the text, or do you want to say a bit more about needs and attachments and things like that? Are you all clear on, you know, attached to my own views, to my own group, to my own pleasure, to the way I want it to be? That is a big, big source of anger. And sometimes just because I have decided that this is the way it should be done is enough for me to get angry when it's not done like this. And I, you know, with the anger, I don't even see that, oh, doing it the other way is much better. Anger totally makes the mind very narrow, and it's like you stuck with this thing, oh, it has to be done my way. And then, you know, it becomes a huge thing. And again, when we see this, instead of getting angry at ourselves or disappointed or whatever, we start to laugh, and we like with a child, we say, oh my gosh, you know, you're so stupid. You have a person who can do it better than you. Isn't that wonderful? You want the job to be done, so let them do it without getting jealous and all this. But then, of course, we're afraid that they will get praise and all this. These are the next verses that are about praise. But first, we come again about karma. Okay, so these were the verses about attachment, where it says, for example, when a fire in one house has moved into another house, it is right to get rid of straws, such things that will cause the fire to spread. So basically what he says, like, that's the first thing you need to do. You need to take out the cause for the fire. You're not saving the treasures in your house because you want to save the whole house with the treasures inside. And it's enough to take away the things that are burnable, which is our attachment. Likewise, when the fire of hatred spreads to whatever my mind is attached, I should immediately get rid of it for fear of my merit being burned. Okay? That's kind of clear. So we have to work with attachment. You see, anger is something we can see that's very unpleasant because it spoils the fun and the joy. It makes us horrible. We look very ugly. It's bad for your health. Expressing anger is bad for your health. Imploding anger is bad for your health. Both is bad for your health, you know. So, but what you can do is to look at your attachments, especially our views. It has to be done like this. This person has to talk to me like this. And it's when we see that we have these views, then we can let them go because we see how ridiculous they are. If we're not taking them out and if we're not looking at them, they can never transform. We can never see how unreasonable and unrealistic they are. And we think this is totally normal to react like this because it's habits, it's tendencies. Okay, so then the next one is about karma. Why is a man condemned to death not fortunate if he is released after having his hand cut off? Why am I, who am experiencing human misery, not fortunate if by that I am spared from the agonies of hell? Shall I give you a bit more time to read it? Why is a man condemned to death, not fortunate if he is released after having his hand cut off? Somebody is condemned to death and they say, okay, we can cut your hand off, then you're free. So he would be happy to give his hand. If you just want his hand, then of course he's not happy. Yeah, why am I, who am experiencing human misery, when things don't go the way we want them to go, not fortunate if by that I am spared from the agonies of hell? This means your next rebirth. Doesn't mean this life. In this life, yeah, in this life we are really, really fortunate because we have ways and means and tools to work with our anger, with our attachment, and with our wrong views. In a lower rebirth, and we don't even have to go to the hells, we can go to other human rebirths where they don't have this opportunity, where there is no psychologist, where there is no spiritual practice, where there's just sheer survival and war, like armored conflict. I mean, every time I see this, I think like, gosh, humankind is so where have we gone to? I mean, it's like we have the pandemic, we have the climate warming, and what do? We buy weapons and we fight against each other and kill each other. I mean, where's our intelligence gone? It's so sad. You know, these aren't conflicts. They're so totally unnecessary. Anyway, it's just my view. But when we are then in very difficult situations, you know, like then there's no way we can work with this. So it is painful not to give in to aggression. It needs, you know, it's much easier to let it go and to scream and shout, or I don't think you're hitting. I think I already told you, yeah? All of us, now we think it's very difficult to subdue our speech and to subdue our mind. And we totally forget that we have already subdued our bodies. Not everybody has. There are people who steal with their bodies whenever they can, they rape whenever they can, they kill or hit whoever comes into their faces. They haven't subdued the actions of the body, but we have. Isn't that wonderful? So the same way as we must have subdued the bodies, either when we are younger, or I would say even in a past life, through our spiritual practice, we can now, through practice, then subdue our speech and our mind. I know people, they never say anything bad or cynical about somebody else. I know people like this. They're practitioners. You know, one of them is Geshe Tashi, and I know him really well. And we have long conversations also about private stuff. But he never says anything negative, like nasty, you know, like this, or cynical about somebody else. I mean, it's so wonderful to be with a person like this. So he has subdued his speech. I can't see his mind. I don't know, but knowing how he reacts and how he is, I would suspect that, yes, also. So this I find inspiring. I want to become like this. You know, not every little aggression that I have. Of course, I'm Swiss and I'm polite. So inside is aggression, but what comes out of here is kind of, it sounds not very aggressive, but it is aggressive. It's not supporting. It's not what the other person wants to hear. It's kind of, you know, hidden criticism, and I'm very clever at this. So I want to lose this habit. I don't like it. It's horrible to make fun of others about their weaknesses and things like that. Yeah. So, but when somebody is hurting or harming you, it's really painful. You know, I want to say these things, I want to criticize and all this. It needs effort, and it's painful not to say these things, and it takes courage. Yeah. So then Pema Chodron says, when the Shempa fishhook, okay, so Shempa is it's actually its intention. But it's not an intention that is intellectually knowing what we want to do, okay? So it's the drive, the push, yeah? Maybe intellectually I know I shouldn't say this, but the Shempa, the intention, is so strong that it overrules the cortex. And blah, 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 and it comes out, okay? So when the Shempa fishhook is strong, we feel urged to criticize our friends, yell at our enemies, and feed anger with our thoughts. Do you think she's right when she says that? That this urge is sometimes so strong that even though intellectually we know, yeah, come on, shouldn't say that, but the intellect is not strong enough to kind of hold it back. So Shantideva also admits that not striking back is painful, but comparing it to the horror, Shantideva also admits that not striking back is painful, and he compares it with losing your hand. Yeah, your hand is being chopped off. That's painful. Yes, of course. But losing your life is more painful. So then, you know, it's like when we are not giving in to aggression, it's like having withdrawal symptoms. Yeah, when you try to change your habits, it is like having withdrawal symptoms. It's painful. Yeah, but then he says, these withdrawal symptoms are worth bearing with courage and patience. You only lose a hand instead of losing your life. We can calm down and escape the torments of hell. So this, of course, this is a Buddhist view, I do admit. So not everybody has this view. So we think, if I react now with aggression, I create imprints that I can be reborn in a lower state. Do I really want that? No, thank you very much, you know? So then we can bear the pain. And I usually, because why is this person hurting me? Again, we totally forget very often, yeah? Why is it that people are able to hurt me? Now, again, you have to help me so I can give my voice a little break, and you tell me, why are people hurting us?
We have created the conditions.
Yeah, we have created the causes, and they are only the conditions. And now, you know, this needs a lot of trust in the law of cause and effect.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like this.
Huh?
It doesn't seem like this.
No, it doesn't seem like this. It seems the way it looks, and there again, you know, this one sentence, it seems real, but it's not true. You know, it seems a fact, but it's not true. It is not true. And when we look, you know, very often we don't have to go into the past where we can't remember that we created the imprint. Very often, if we're really honest and full of self-confidence, we can admit, you know, I also have my role in this. Why? Because I was here. You know, if somebody hits my right cheek, they can only hit my right cheek because I have a right cheek. If I wouldn't have a right cheek, they couldn't hit it. So how can I only blame the other? We're not used to this kind of arguments, you know, because it sounds very strange to us, I know, but it's kind of, it's logic, isn't it? So then Tenzin Zopa says in his commentary, a man who has been sentenced to death will be greatly relieved when he only has his hand cut off. So I think this you have understood, yeah? Likewise, one should think that if one did not experience the problems we have right now, our accumulated negative karma would make us suffer for eons in the lower realms. Because the people who are listening to me who know about karma, karma increases. A very small action, you know, karmic seeds, karmic imprints are dynamic. They're not static, yeah? So it says that a very small action, if it stays a long time on our mind stream, can give quite a big result. And especially if the action is getting repeated again and again and again and again. Yeah. So now somebody is being not so nice to me. They bring this to ripen. That karmic seed will not give any result anymore in the future. But if I react to the situation with aggression, I plant more seeds. Whereas if I know that and I say, no, thank you, I've had enough of this, I don't want more seeds, then my reaction will be differently. And I am very consciously saying reaction. It doesn't mean you should not react. Please, please, please understand this. Nobody in Buddhism says, you know, don't react. What they say is don't react being pushed by your negative emotions. Because then your view is not right, is exaggerated, you're not concerned about the happiness of others, and you create more imprints for these tendencies to react like this. And if at the time of death, you die with a very unhappy mind, you know, if already now you get unhappy about every little thing, then at the time of death, we have great chance that our mind will be in an unhappy state, and then it kind of activates a seed for your next rebirth, which is not joyful. So who wants that? Yeah. So this is why, also for our own sake, we have a lot of self-interest in working with these things. I mean, life is so much more joyful when you don't have an aggressive mind. You know, you can enjoy so many more things. Dalit is not here this time. Like she said, when she was kind of caught up in this 5-hour cock, And she was surprised that she didn't get angry. You remember? And she said that she thought she saw the seaside, it was very beautiful, and she saw the stars coming out, and she was really happy about it. If you get angry in your traffic jam, it's like there's nothing that you see that is beautiful. You only see the ugly things. So it's for your own self-protection, actually, that you start to work with a lot of self-compassion and with a lot of skill, not to plant more seeds. And here also, I told you already, we have these tendencies, and for a long time, we will still have them. The negative emotions will still arise, yeah? But karma is created through body and speech, especially, yeah, also through the mind. This is true with like negative thoughts and things like that. But for like lower rebirth, especially, is kind of actions of body and speech, like negative actions. So this we can prevent by saying, okay, this hurts now. Yeah, I know. Leora is looking at me in a very critical way. I know what I said is not 100% correct, okay? Because of course with the mind you can also, but this is more the negative emotions. So we can stop, very consciously, we can stop collaborating with these negative emotions by recognizing them and allowing them to be there, to watch them, to say, oh, I see you, but I'm not going to say anything, and to bring a bit of lightness into this whole thing, not taking it like matter of life and death. Yeah, the lighter you are, the more relaxed you are, the more chance you have with your, not to follow your negative emotions. The more tense you are, and the more you don't want them, and the more you fight against them, the more they have power over you, because you use the same strategy that the negative emotions are using. Very strong energy with no reason, like cortex shut down. Yeah, these 3 F things, fight, flight, and freeze. So like this. So better than this, when one is facing hardships, one should practice Tonglen, thinking, may this hardship that I'm going through be sufficient to ripen and eradicate the entire negative karma of all living beings. When any discomfort comes to one's body, divert one's mind this way. The force of Tonglen meditation will cause one's pain to subside. So who of you is doing that practice? Anybody knows? Nahum, I know you're doing Tonglen, isn't it?
Only if I'm being guided. It's hard for me by myself yet.
Okay. It's hard for you to do it, I think, by yourself, because we only do it when things are really tough. It's too much, okay? And maybe we don't really understand properly, okay, what Tonglen means.
Anita?
Tonglen means, did somebody want to say something?
Yes, me,
Yes,
Adam.
okay.
I'm practicing it, and I'm very glad you mentioned it, or you brought it up, because every time I'm doing it, many of the times, in many cases, for other people, when I feel that someone else is in a very, or the environment of the society of some, and then I use myself too, but I always have a fear that I get the black things and the gray and then it will stay. I will not, my heart will not change it. I look at myself and I'm like imagining a very, maybe even trying hard to that the second act that spreading the good things will happen, so it won't stay. I wanted to ask about it.
Yeah. This is what many people experience, so I'm happy that you are asking.
Yofi.
Because we forget to give. And so I think in order to do this, it's a very simple practice, actually. We do exactly what we usually don't do. Like we want to keep the good stuff and we want to take away or get rid of the bad stuff. Here we turn the whole thing around. Why? One thing is keeping the good stuff and kind of giving away the bad stuff. As we can see, it doesn't work. It doesn't make us happier people. It makes us more aggressive, more defensive, more this and more that. And this is why we have all these splits and these groups in the world, because the good stuff for me, the bad stuff for the people I don't like. Okay. So then we change it and we see maybe that works. Maybe that works to make me a happier person. And you always, before you do it with others, you always start with yourself for a long time. And what I also found out with Westerners, it's really beneficial before you start to do this practice, you know, the full practice, where you, because the thing is, we always start with you breathe in the, you know, the difficulties and you breathe out all the good things that you have. We should turn it around. You start by breathing out first, all your goodness, all your love, you know, and first you give to the people, like when we did the meditation now, you know, you give it to that person that sees you, the person that appreciates you, the person that takes you seriously. You give them all your love and all your goodness and all your strengths. And, you know, you can even give them with your imagination, all your money and things like that. And all of a sudden, we have so much space in here, yeah, that we're not afraid to take, because we can see what I can give is much more than what I take. But we have to experience that. And very often, you know, very often in Buddhism, people only practice on the intellectual level. And we forget that you have to experience these things so that you see that it works. Otherwise, in the head, it doesn't work. Yeah. So then it's good to start with yourself, and you take your future self, you put your future self in front of you, the self in 1 minute, the self in 10 minutes, the self as an old person, if you're not already old. like you know, yeah, but more thinking about me, you know, I mean, when I started to do this practice, I was 40, so I saw myself with 70 or 80, and I thought, oh wow, but now it's quite okay actually to be 70, I think. So, but you know, you imagine the suffering that this person might have, being abandoned, being dement, and all this, and then we feel the fear coming. And the fear is actually quite good, because this practice is against our self-cherishing mind, that we visualize like a black rock in our heart. Now, if you know that this I or me does not exist, the way that it manifests, this works wonderfully well. When you don't know the object of refutation, this doesn't really work so well. And so then you have to take that quite powerful, but also quite harsh Tibetan Buddhist practice, and you have to change it a little bit. So when you give out your love and your concern and your well-being and all this, then you feel it. You start to feel something in here, you know, spacious, calm, inspired, and like, oh, wow. And then you think this acts like a filter, like a vacuum cleaner. You know, like when you breathe in the negativity, it goes into that goodness, and this goodness, because we all know love and goodness has the power to transform everything. Sometimes it needs a lot of time. That is true. But finally, I mean, who can resist to love? If it's genuine love, if it's not love to manipulate the other person, to possess the other person, not this kind of love, but genuine concern, it can totally transform people. Yeah. Now, of course, I know psychologists, they tell me that there are people who are by nature bad. I don't believe this, but there are people who are, that this goodness is that they, you know, they're afraid to be touched. Look, what Michal said, if she is afraid to be touched by the love of others, how about somebody who has suffered a lot and who is mentally kind of really not here as we are? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So then again, don't jump to these most difficult cases or whatever. You are not here to transform the world, okay? We are here to transform our own mind, okay? So then when you think that this is my Buddha nature, if you're a Buddhist, then you can think like this. This is my mind who by nature is totally pure, like the mind of a fully awakened being. It's just covered. So then that blackness goes through that filter, and then when you breathe out, you breathe out. Or you can do it also even in a more milder way, because it needs courage to do this. This is not an easy meditation. It really needs courage. Yeah, because then you think about karma and you think, okay, I'm breathing in the suffering of this person now. If I have the karma to have to go through the suffering, I will suffer, but I will suffer I will suffer this at one point anyway. So I might as well suffer it now, because then it makes sense and it has a meaning, because I took it voluntarily. Yeah.
It's a good point.
Yeah. So when I was in Bodh Gaya, maybe we'll talk more about Tonglen next time. Yeah. When I was in Bodh Gaya, we had a clinic there for poor people. They only had to pay, let's say, half a shekel or something like this to get treatment, and like treatment, like also heart operations, or we would just pay for it and they would go to a bigger hospital. And there was a huge file in front of it, like many, huge queue of the poor people from Bihar. It's in India, Bodh Gaya. And one day they found a man came who had tried to burn himself, because in India, this is the cheapest way to commit suicide. They don't have access to pills. They don't have access to guns. So what do? Kerosene they have, because they cook with kerosene. They pour it over themselves and they put the match and they burn themselves. Not out of protest or not out of how to say? Not individualism. Anyway, not out of protest or because you want to change the world or something like that, because the situation is so desperate. They have children. He had a wonderful, beautiful wife and 3 small children, but dead. And the crop was not good and he didn't know how to get out of it and he burned himself, but he didn't die. So he was in the hospital and part of his skin was black and the other part was red, pink, like no more skin. And so Lama Zopa Rinpoche was in the center, its Root Institute at that moment, and we were doing a beginner's course, as we do in Tushita and in Root Institute, 10 days introduction to Buddhism course. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he came to me and he said, okay, for the last session in the course, I want you to go down to the clinic and to Tonglen with this man, like breathing in his suffering and giving out, healing and all the things that he needs and all this. I had seen the man because I was going down to the clinic quite often and I was bringing bananas or just, looking at people. I spoke a bit of Hindi at that time. So I would just go down. Sometimes we would do medicine Buddha puja or something like that. And so I thought like this, these people, they are beginners. How can I ask them to do something so difficult? Having the man in front of them, not just visualizing. And then I noticed that I was speaking for myself. This is many, many years ago. So I was afraid. I didn't want to do this. I thought, I don't want these, these burns of this man. Thank you very much. But then because Rinpoche says something, then one does. So I went down and I went down before and taught the clinic that to really clean everything and, make sure that the smell was not too bad and because of infections and things like that. Because it's a very simple clinic. I don't know if any of you, maybe Netta, you've been to Bodh Gaya? Have you seen the clinic in routines? No? Netta, Froni has seen it. Where are you? You were here before. She's hiding. Netta has been to that Root Institute clinic. So, you know, it's not what we think a hospital is. It's very simple and not so hygienic and all this. So anyways, I was sitting there in front of this man and I was thinking, okay, if I have an accident and I get burned like this, well, this is my karma, you know. If I don't have the karma to get burned like this, then I won't get it, no matter how much I breathe it in. And then if I do have an accident and have these burns, well, I'm here, you know, I'll be well looked after. So why not do it now? And then I started to understand something, that we don't have to be so afraid of getting it, because, you know, the fear of suffering is not preventing us to suffer. But many people forget to breathe out. Oh, there is Netta. Netta, you've been to that clinic, haven't you? You need to open your microphone. It's still closed. Netta, you need to open your microphone.
Mute my video here.
Yeah, okay. So it's not a very modern hospital, is it? The Root Institute Clinic.
No, not. We were there with the, what's her name?
With Kendall.
And the doctor?
Rick, I think it was Dr. Rick.
No, the Israeli one.
Oh, this I don't remember.
Okay, never mind.
Never mind. Anyway, she saw it. So yeah, and then I started to understand, and people found it very, very, very amazing. And when, you know, when the compassion is really there, and you feel totally helpless, and there's nothing you can do, especially when you are with a dying person, and in order not to start to feel closed and cramped, and you start to do Tonglen, this is really, really powerful, because you start to feel more free. It's a very powerful meditation, but I want to talk more about this, and we do this next time. But what you can do in the meantime is, whenever something difficult happens to you this week, you know, this is the homework. Whenever something difficult happens to you this week that you think, okay, negative karma ripening, I am not completely the victim. It's also not completely your fault, because the other person should not harm you. You know, you're not kind of going around and saying, come on, hit me, because I am, you know, I'm the victim and things like that. No, that would be total wrong understanding. You have to protect yourself, because the other person who is harming you, they're creating negative karma for themselves. Yeah, but by creating negative karma for themselves, then they are purifying yours. So I don't know how you feel about this one if you're not a Buddhist, because I don't know if everybody is a Buddhist, and if you can work with, you know, the principle of karma. If you're a Buddhist, you can, because then everything becomes much more bearable, and you think, okay, I'm like this prisoner. Instead of being my head chopped off, I have only my hand chopped off. Or, you know, again, just to think about the positive sides of suffering. Can you remember what they are? We forget. You know, do you think if I wouldn't have gotten the virus, I would have received so many messages of love and concern and connection as I have? What do you think? The last week? Yes or no? Definitely not. You know,
We always love you, but now we feel it more forcefully.
Yeah, but if I wouldn't have gotten sick, I wouldn't have gotten these messages. I'm talking about me now, you know? Do you think I would have been so touched by the concern of all these people if I wouldn't have gotten sick? No, because he wouldn't have sent me a message. He wouldn't have done the puja. So I said, you know, getting sick is worthwhile, this outpour of love, really. It really is. I mean, what I received is so much more than what I went through, really. So,
Rita, it means that everybody of us will have the corona in order to feel what you felt?
I don't know.
You know, we are in closure.
Yeah. But no, I am, I am just saying, that's one advantage. There is advantages.
Yes, of course.
There is that's one of them. The other one is, it's really good for your arrogance, because when you're sick, you're not arrogant at all. You're not going off promenading, and you can generate compassion for others who are maybe more sick than you are, and you're purifying your negative karma. I mean, this is the advantages of suffering.
I think that when you're in closure, you are less arrogant. That's what I feel.
Yeah, of course, because you don't have a witness to look at you.
I don't have anything. I don't have connections. I don't have anything. I'm not arrogant.
Okay. Listen to Netta Efroni. Please send her a message this evening before you go to sleep. Netta Efroni, we all love you.
Rita, I don't have to say more than that.
Yeah. I love you, Netta. So then what can I say? What can I say more than this? You're so funny,
Yeah.
So, and actually, I don't know, the way I see the gallery, I see small Netta sitting next to big Netta.
Yeah, I see small Netta as well. Hi, small Netta.
Isn't that nice?
I'm the big Netta and she's the small Netta.
We all started our Dharma journey many years ago in Israel. Netta didn't have any children yet, and so much changed and all this, and we're still connected and we're still friends. I mean, isn't that wonderful?
And we love each other, and we love you very much.
So no, I was just using this as an example, so that we forget to think about the advantages of suffering. Yeah, we just want to get rid of it as quickly as possible. But I'm not saying you shouldn't. I mean, I took the medicine. I stayed in bed. I don't go out. I'm waiting until the quarantine is finished and I can go out again. So like this. Okay.
But Anila, you're still talking about it as exhausting negative karma. Still, you said negative karma.
Yeah.
There are positive sides, and it's an opportunity for so many things, and but still we call it negative karma, exhausting the negative.
But Netta means exhausting means finishing it, getting rid of it. Isn't that a good thing?
Yes, but it's not that negative as you presented or felt it was, this corona.
No, but still, again, it's like negative karma is like a negative result is, again, it's not like mathematics, I do a big action, negative, and then I have a big negative result. No, I can transform the whole thing also. It's not like 1 and 1 is 2 and 2 and 2 is 4. I do something big negative and then the action, the result will be big negative. Yeah. You see, the Tibetans, the way that they deal with this, I remember Geshe Tsering, it was Sakadawa, it's one of the big Buddhist days where they say, whatever you do that is positive, like merit, like increases, I don't know, 1 million times, or I don't know how many times. And if something negative happens to you, that purifies a lot of negative karma. Yeah. So then he fell, and his thumb was, instead of being like this, was going out like that. So he was totally dislocated and kind of like that. And he was so happy. And he looked at his thumb. Didi is laughing. That's the Tibetans, isn't it? He looked at his thumb and he said, wow, wow, look at this. And on a day like this, I am purifying so much negative karma. And he was happy. It's a little bit like, when you have to go to a dentist and it's not the dentist's fault that you will have pain. Yeah, you have pain because there's a hole in your tooth. It's your responsibility. So you go there voluntarily, and then by enduring the pain, again, it's like chopping off the hand. The pain is not pleasant, but that it will not increase because the hole is being fixed. You understand what I'm saying? And we can apply the same reasoning to whatever happens to us that we dislike. So that will be the homework of the week. See whether what it does to you, okay? Because it can also go totally wrong. And then you go into, oh, it's my own fault. Why did I do this? I'm so stupid, blah, blah, you know, and then that's not how it should be. Also with karma, you have to be very skillful. The whole thing is, with these methods, they are so powerful, you have to be skillful. So let's just, is that okay, or do you have questions?
Anila?
Yeah?
Can I say something small when you say big netta and small netta?
Yes.
I was reminded in very positive karma. My daughter now is 11-year-old and she was 1 month in your course, in Yom Kippur course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
This is, we see time passes and things change, and we're still here. I mean, everybody who is still in the Dharma, really, I'm be happy about it, because so many people give up because it's so difficult. Yeah, so difficult to transform our mind. It is painful, but it's worthwhile. And when we have the positive karma, to have the courage and to stay at it, then we should be very, very happy. Yeah, because it does work, but we have to apply it. Thank you, Yael, for this little memory. Okay, so
thank you. Thank you. She's a very Buddhist girl, and maybe it's because of you.
Sure. I'm the cause for her being such a good person. No, it's okay. You know, it's many conditions coming together, so that's fine. So let's just do a short reflection. First of all, the dedication, that whatever we heard, you know, we think that may be of benefit in whatever way to myself, but also to everybody else who will see me, touch me, listen to me, talk about me, think about me, you know. Whatever we've done to that, all the positive energy that we have created, may it be of benefit in whatever way, so that we, you know, we come to our senses, and so that we can all live our potential that we all have of love, compassion, and wisdom, and we can have the joy that we should have in our life. And then again, we just send out these loving thoughts, first for ourselves. May I be safe. Don't be afraid to start with yourself. Nachum says it very rightly every time. We have to look after ourselves, but with the thought to be able to benefit others, May I be safe. May I be protected from physical and mental harm. And think it until you feel something in your heart. May I be protected from physical and mental harm. May I be strong, healthy, free from fear, loving and peaceful. May I be strong, healthy, free from fear, loving and peaceful. And may I be able to live my life with joy and ease. It's always possible if we have right views, if we find meaning in our life. And this meaning may be of benefit to others in whatever way, just to bring a smile on their face is good enough. We don't have to save the world. We can't. If the Dalai Lama cannot save the world, we can also not save the world. But we can make people smile. We can, you know, we can bring them in touch with their own goodness. By recognizing their goodness, we can help them to discover their own goodness. By seeing them, by appreciating them, by taking them seriously, by feeling connected, even if it's not physically, it doesn't matter. It will come to that again, that we can meet again. But then we also create a lot of negative karma by meeting people physically. Probably not at the beginning, but then slowly, slowly. Yeah. And now we kind of open up our hearts, and then we think, you know, may all beings, south, east, west, north, above and below, may they all be safe. May they all be protected from physical and mental harm. Nobody should suffer. Nobody should be harmed. Not even the biggest assholes. Because harming them is not helping them. But trying to stop them from harming others, this is a good thing, but not with aggression. We have to be able to include them in our concern for their happiness. May all beings, also the assholes, be protected from physical and mental harm. May they all be strong, healthy, free from fear. So much aggression comes because we are afraid. And we think that aggression protects us from our fears. It's the opposite. May all beings be free from fear, loving and peaceful. And may all beings be able to live their lives with joy and ease. We can all find sources of joy if we look well enough. They don't have to be big. Your cup of coffee in the morning, or your tea, the shower that you're taking, the bed you're sleeping in, the food you're eating. So many people do their job so that we can consume what we are consuming every minute. And when we think, wow, they did their job just for me, then the wish comes, how can I repay their kindness? And we don't feel so lonely anymore. All right. So thank you very much. As I said, next time we talk more about Tonglen, because it's actually the whole thing about Tonglen comes in the 8th chapter, but we can already talk about it now because it's a very powerful practice. And for the homework, well, good luck. You know, you can even think by me undergoing this suffering now, one is, what's the advantage of it? You know, consciously finding advantages. And like, for example, I don't have to go to work if I'm sick or something like that. And what do I think might have been prevented by me having this suffering now? Because if you can't go out of the house, it might prevent that you're having a car accident and you are paralyzed and I don't know what. You see, I mean, this would be skillful thinking instead of, I can't go anywhere, it's terrible. And then you go like, yeah, but because I can't go anywhere, I can't have a car accident and then be paralyzed or something like this. Yeah, so many things, so many places where you can find joy.
Oh, Rita.
Yes, Netta?
When you tell us how we will save our democracy without...
Oh, this, you know, if I would know, my dear Netta, then I would have the Peace Nobel Prize. So I don't know either.
How can we pray for...
Pray.
I don't want to mention names, but how can we pray about our existence?
This is a big problem, you know, Netta. And when you get stuck in that big problem that we can't change as an individual.
No, I'm not.
And you get depressed. No, Netta, really, you get depressed and you're not doing the small things that we can do. This is the thing, you know. I mean, if I would, I mean, be realistic. If I would have an answer to this, I mean, I'd be world famous. So anyway, we can pray, definitely. We can definitely pray, and for peace also to have, you know, in the United States at the moment, that people come to their senses, and we can be a good example by not being aggressive. Yeah. Okay, my dears. I wish you a good week. Thank you very much for listening, and take care.
Be well.
Take care.
Okay. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night to everybody.
Good night.
Losang.